Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode here at the Kickpod podcast, the podcast dojo for inspirational martial arts talk. I am your host, TJ Williams, fourth degree black belt in the Chuck Norris system, here to give you the insider of my martial arts journey, discussing and analyzing martial arts based subjects, and highlighting martial artists of all styles, past, present, and future. All right, for those who are just joining me for the first time, this is a pre-recorded episode. So whatever I talk about in this episode, it's either going to done past or it's coming up, which brings me to say that to start this episode off, we are getting close to the Christmas holiday, so roughly 2 weeks. And of course, I hope everybody's getting their last minute gifts. I guess Amazon is getting bombed. I know, really. Then, of course, mailing and delivery is going to be like crazy for the next 2 weeks because people are getting their last minute gifts. And of course, now that the year is almost to a close, I guess people are making lists of things they're going to do once the clock hits zero on January or December 31st, which is New Year's Eve. So hopefully everybody's not too crazy going out drinking. Well, I'm not gonna go out. I'm stay home. Uh, and as also just to give everybody an update of my condition, because I've been giving people a heads up of my knee recovery. So things are looking great. But yeah, still got more to go. So hopefully for New Year, I'll be back to normal and I'll be able to be back in training and be ready for July. All right. So with that being said, I have a guest coming from Vancouver, British Columbia. That's on the west side of Canada, and that's a great thing that my podcast is getting is guests from across the border, which I'm always over there because yeah, because I live on the west side or the east side of Canada, which is around southern Ontario, Canada. And of course, this guest here been in martial arts for 6 years, training in various martial arts styles. Started at the age of 41. So just a
Yep.
lesson out there. It's not too late to join the martial arts, no matter how old you are. So yeah. So just like me, she's a podcaster, and she's also known as the Karate Shrimp. So
Yep.
catch your clips on YouTube, Facebook, or even Instagram. And lastly, she's a performance coach in which her mission is to help people perform better in life as well as martial arts. So I like everybody to say hello to Sabrina Bliem, and
Yep.
she's yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
got it.
yep. I mean,
I've
yeah,
heard all sorts of pronunciations, so I know.
yeah. It's been crazy. No, I'm trying to make sure I get names right because I'm very
Oh,
bad with names
me too.
sometimes. Yeah. So how we doing, Sabrina?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. I love making these connections with other podcasters and other content creators and martial artists. So I think that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that we should do more in the new year. It's like really connect to martial artists out there. And like I was talking to the last episode, another guy from Toronto, uh, which is of course an hour and a half from me. And he was
Mhm.
talking about kind of bringing martial art styles together, not as a act of competition, but just sort of sharing ideas of like really getting to know other people's martial arts styles. So it's so great to actually talk to people like that that really try to build a community for the martial arts.
Totally. And like we're so much more alike than we are different, right? And there's so much fighting online, and we don't need to do that. Like we are one big awesome community, and there's so much, variety, and we all practice different martial arts, and we all have different reasons for doing it. And I think that's awesome. It's so cool to like hear other ideas and learn from that, right?
Hey, so of course, have you been to Toronto before?
I have, yeah. Yeah,
So,
my parents are from Austria, and they moved to Toronto first, and they lived in the German neighborhood. So I've been there a couple times. Yeah.
oh, so if
Super cool city.
yeah, so if
I
you
didn't I didn't live there, but yeah, I've been there to visit family and stuff. Yeah.
okay, so if you could compare Vancouver to Toronto, would you say they're roughly the same?
Well, Toronto's a lot bigger. It's different vibe. I don't know. Like I've driven across Canada and back. I went on a big road trip once, and it's like everywhere is so just slightly different, right? Just slightly different. Like everyone's super friendly all the way across, but it's just, I don't know, different culture, little pockets of culture and stuff. But I'd say I think Torontonians seem a little more big city. It just seems like more big city worldly little bit. And I love all the different cultural ethnic neighborhoods in Toronto. I think it's so cool to visit all those and learn about different cultures. And I love that about Toronto.
Yeah, the thing about Toronto is that the streets are so narrow, and that's
Oh,
easy traffic.
oh yeah, yeah. And the one time I went there, there was like torrential rain and like atmospheric rain, and the family that I was staying with, they lived on a bit of a hill with the narrow streets, and the water was up past the wheels of the cars. Like it was insane, just pouring down all the little narrow roads. And yeah, that's like such a vivid memory. But yeah, all the crazy little tiny roads.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like over in Canada a lot because mostly I go to Comic Cons, go to wrestling shows,
Oh, cool,
and
cool.
and of course my brother moved there like years ago, and he got married, and of course he
Yeah.
lives there with his wife and the kids, and which I really am grateful that my nieces are growing up, and then really my
Mhm.
I had to worry about my 15-year-old niece though, but it's real great to actually see them, and they look
Oh
very happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. All right. So we're gonna get started with this episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
So you're gonna bring us back in time with your journey. So the first question would be describe yourself before martial arts. So basically, who were you?
Who was I? I struggled with that actually, find knowing who I was. I think when I was young, I knew who I was, and I kind of lost it along the way. And like before I started martial arts, I was married. I was helping my husband at the time run a body shop. It wasn't right for me. I had, been in school, done a degree in dietetics, didn't want to be a dietitian. That wasn't right for me either. And, but, like the one thing that was wonderful was becoming a parent, having raising my two kids. But I was kind of lost with my focus and my purpose. And I knew I wanted to do something with people, like working with people, helping people, but I didn't know how that would look. I always wanted to be a teacher of some kind, but I didn't pursue that. So yeah, I was a little lost before martial arts.
All right. So kind of getting into martial arts. What was that one event that got you interested in martial arts?
I think right from childhood, my family was really into kung fu movies. We would go to Vancouver and go to Chinatown and go to these cool little theaters and watch kung fu movies. And it was the coolest thing. I love the magic, the enchantment. I always thought it'd be so cool to be like to get into kung fu and be able to fly and all the things that you see in these crazy movies, right? But that was like, kind of interwoven into my childhood is that the kind of magic of martial arts and movie. And I saw the original Karate Kid in theaters. And so all of that, I never really like myself pursued martial arts when I was young or thought about becoming a martial artist. It just seemed like this kind of mythical thing, right? But it was super cool. And when I was in my 20s, though, I got into Tai Chi for a short bit. A friend of mine was practicing and encouraged me to join. I did about 3 months, and then I went on my road trip across Canada, and I didn't have money after to get back into it. But I really wanted to try kickboxing or something more aggressive because I am an aggressive person, but I never kind of did it until I started in my 40s.
Yeah, so definitely you say like what would say your push would be like other than like watching kung fu movies like you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, other than like that Tai Chi, was it something else that like kind of pushed you into that martial arts?
Absolutely. What a pivotal thing for me. My mom got diagnosed with cancer and I could not handle it. I couldn't cope. And it was about a year of me struggling, like really, really struggling with anger and grief and all of that stuff. And then I came across, I think it was the Facebook page for the dojo that I ended up training at. And a friend of mine, he makes videos and he had made a video of a local or in-house tournament. And I got such a good vibe and I thought this is such a like fun family atmosphere, and my kids were both struggling at the time too, and my youngest was struggling with shyness and my oldest was being bullied in school, and I thought this could be a good fit for all three of us. It could be an outlet for me for grief and dealing with my mom's cancer, and then my kids with the bullying and the shyness. And that's what actually was seeing that video on Facebook and then thinking, okay, I'm gonna try karate.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the one push that people do well one that gets people in martial arts, that people get bullied and they're dealing with certain like traumas and of course
Yes.
yeah like you're was dealing with your mother's cancer, so you have to at least kind of get away from that by doing something that's kind of get you concentrated to get back in that road again.
Absolutely. And like feeling strong again, feeling like I could handle stuff. And like I had said, how I was kind of feeling lost for so many years in my life, and my marriage was, not doing well, and I just didn't have my thing. I didn't feel like I ever fit in anywhere, and karate became that thing that just totally fit. It was an outlet. It made me happy again. I met this awesome community of super cool people, and I felt like I found my purpose.
Yeah, so of course with me dealing with this knee injury, I mean, this is
Oh,
like my first major injury that I ever had, but at least I was prepared for it. It's like if it ever happened, then I know that I'll be taken care of. But of course
yes.
with martial arts, of course with my style, I mean, I already did all of my physical tests for
Yeah.
my black belt test. So the last of course I'm going for master rank next. So I don't have to test
Awesome.
physically for that. So it's just a 2 minute performance in front of Grandmaster Norris, and then I
Yeah.
just received my black jacket. And from there,
Cool.
I mean, I can go up 6 degree after 5 years, or I could just stay at the same.
That's super cool. That's so exciting.
Yeah. All right.
But
So
yeah, with an injury, it's tough, right? Like, because this is what you love doing, and you got to heal though, and it's hard to take a break. Yeah.
yeah, of course, I can't do any jumping. I mean, a
Oh yeah.
couple improvements. I'm able to get into a stance, like a
Yeah.
good like traditional stance, but no, it's just other things I can't do any jumping or running. So that's just
Yeah.
something I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
Uh, All right. So going into, can you give your describe your first lesson or a memory of your first lesson?
Yeah. Well, we did the dojo I went to. They offered a free first class just to try it out, and so my kids and we all started the same day in 3 different classes. So I spent the whole day at the dojo, and I just remember feeling so excited, and I was really nervous about starting because I'm thinking, okay, I'm 41. I'm not athletic. Like, I've been working out, for my adulthood, but I was into solitary things like running and hiking, and I'd never been into team sports, never really comfortable. I was always really clumsy as a kid, and so I felt nervous about it, but I knew that this could be a thing for me, right? This could help me. And that first class, it was so much fun, and everyone was really helpful and friendly, and we did basics. Like, I learned, the basic punches and blocks, and we did kicks and walking kicks and partner drills and heavy bag work. And I just felt, I think I had this like stupid grin on my face the whole time, because it was so much fun, and I had done something that scared me. I was excited to try it, but I was nervous and scared about it, and I did that, and I overcame that fear, and it was super fun, and it felt really good. So I know sometimes it can be really scary for people to try something new, and especially with martial arts, because you worry about getting injured, which is, a reality. We do get that.
Yeah.
We do learn how to handle a certain amount of, taking a hit and that kind of thing. But yeah, just taking that first class and trying something new and realizing this is super fun. I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that's the thing about martial arts. I mean, it's more diverse, like now than it was some years ago. Because you got most
Yeah.
martial arts styles, they wouldn't even share any any of their secrets. Like mostly,
Oh yeah.
yes. So like nowadays, it's like it's like the world's more diverse. It's like if you want to try this martial arts style, I mean, it's up to you. So with me,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going looking at certain martial arts styles, and not to try them out, but just get like a look of how I could compare the style to mine. And it's like I see the similarity, but there's always some type of difference in stances, technique. Yeah, so
Totally.
that.
And then every dojo has a different culture, right? Like, there's a different vibe. And like the one that I trained at, it was really, I mean, everyone took everything seriously, but it was really goofy too. We could all goof around and be dorks. And so for me, that's important in a dojo, but that doesn't work for everybody. So I think, yeah, if you're wanting to try martial arts, it's really good to see if you can try a free class at different places and see what feels right, where you feel like you're at home, because they're all so different.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so you take various martial arts styles. So how many martial arts styles have you done so far?
Well, apart from, I don't really count the Tai Chi because I only did a little bit,
Yeah.
but so Meibukan, Goju Karate, and Kobudo. The style is Ruku Kobudo Teshinkan. So I have a black belt, my first degree black belt in karate, my brown belt in Kobudo, and I have a blue belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. So right now, I had a falling out with my sensei a year ago. I was being stalked and everything kind of blew up at the dojo. And so I ended up leaving. I was working at the dojo too. I was teaching, but all this, tough stuff happened last year and I ended up leaving the dojo. So right now I'm training at home in the karate and the kobudo. I can't do jujitsu without partners, so karate and kobudo, I can do kata, I can do basics, that kind of thing. So one day I will find another dojo. I'm considering I'd like to try different martial arts. I think it would be cool to try different styles of karate and maybe try BJJ and that kind of thing. So in future, maybe boxing too. I think that'd be fun. So in the future, when I'm ready to get back out there, I'll try different dojos and different arts.
Yeah, it's almost like a pilgrimage. It's like you want to discover
It is.
you want to discover all these martial arts styles. Like, of course, you
Yeah.
mentioned BJJ, and how is that
Yes.
different to Japanese jiu-jitsu? What would you say?
The the Japanese is like BJJ's, ground fighting, and Japanese jiu-jitsu, the curriculum that we, for testing, we didn't have to do any groundwork. It was not for the lower belts anyway. It was a lot of it's takedowns from standing. So you start off standing, and it's the idea is like, say, if you're a samurai and you lose your sword in battle, you have to be able to defend yourself without a weapon, one-handed. So it started off where all the drills were one-handed, like one side. So someone grabs your wrist, how to do a joint lock or compression, or how to take them down, that kind of thing. And then lots of like rolls and that kind of thing. I don't have the best neck health. So that's where something with BJJ, if I start that, I need to get my neck a little stronger and more flexible because I tend to get a little creaky. But yeah, so Japanese is more from standing. That's sort of the difference.
Because right now with me, it's like my style is like involving BJJ as well as Krav Maga. So that's the thing
Okay,
about
cool.
my style. It's a hybrid style. So it derives from Tank Sudo Korean style. So of
Mhm.
course Chuck Norris decided to kind of modify everything from Tank Sudo and kind of make it its own thing, and also blending other styles, which is also nice. It's like almost you're getting everything in the price, everything all in once.
Yeah, I get like the best of everything kind of thing. That's super cool. I love that.
Yeah. I, so what would you say your favorite moment or moments are in martial arts?
Um, any of those connections you build, like, when you say, if you go to a tournament and you're going to spar with somebody you've never sparred with, and you're kind of eyeing each other and sizing each other up, and then you get in there. Like, I'm an aggressive fighter, I'm a clash fighter, I like to get in there, and which increases your risk of injury, of course, but it's fun for me. I just like to get in there, and I love getting in there with a really aggressive martial artist, and you wallop each other, and you're trying to win, but at the end of it, you have so much respect for one another. And I've made some great connections with people where we're fighting and we're hurting each other, and then at the end we can hug and say, wow, that was such an awesome sparring match, and we become good friends from it. So all of those connections, like that rough and tumble that we do as kids, like, it's so important. And I think right now, like, kids, the way they grow up, they're not getting enough physical like contact with other kids. It's more like on the computer and no touching at school kind of thing. But I think like fighting, struggling, all that is so much like wrestling with your friends. Those are when you make those connections, those strong ties with people, right? So that's, I think, my favorite part, my favorite moments.
Man, just thinking about how you were talking about like we used to do things virtually, like for the past 2 years when we had the pandemic dropped. So of course it was difficult for me to teach kids on a computer, knowing
Oh
that
yeah.
I had to be there like physically to see like check their stances, their technique. It's like it was just impossible. And it's like it was like almost like I want to poke my eye out. Just
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sure, because like there's so many little subtle details that you can, even when you're in person, you can miss, right? And to have to try and do that through this, like, that would be totally challenging. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So of course, yeah, going to your favorite moments. Was one of your favorite moments getting your a black belt in the style that you were doing?
That meant a lot. And I think um, because of why I started, that, I was feeling like I couldn't handle the tough stuff in my life. And, karate is difficult, and it is. Martial arts are difficult, and you're doing something difficult. And then, at the end, you feel like you've accomplished something. really impressive. And so getting my black belt, I mean, I think getting my yellow belt, my first belt, was probably the most exciting one because it was like my first test and I was really scared and it was so cool and I love yellow. But the black belt, it's like, okay, wow. Like, yeah, you feel yeah, you feel proud of yourself and you feel like, okay, I can do the tough stuff. I can do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a cool moment too.
Yeah, and of course, being in martial arts for 6 years, I mean, of course, if it was going like 12 years now, and you every time you put that belt on, you know that when people see your belt, it's not going to turn black. It's not going to still be black. It's going to be almost white.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Cause you're wearing it. You're busting your ass. Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Mine still like it still sticks out funny. And yeah.
yeah. That's what my belt looks like. I got my black belt like 18 years ago, and it's just like,
Awesome.
and then of course it's like turning like it's almost like it's ready to fade. But
Yeah.
I mean,
But you see that. You see it's a labor of love and you see that, right? Like you can see that on your belt. That's so cool.
yeah, and proper tying.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So can you like describe what your black belt test was like if you have a memory of that?
Yeah, well, that was it was March of 2021. So, and we weren't allowed to do any contact at the time. So it was kind of an odd test. Like in that association, the Mabukan Association, they do tests twice a year. And with COVID, it was just the tests were a little bit different. We never did any free sparring or anything at any of the belt tests. That wasn't what we ever did. It was more you do all your basics like your punches and your blocks and your kicks and combos, partner drills, and then group drills where you're walloping each other, and then all of the empty hand, and we do weapons kata as well. So you go through all of your kata, and it's a lot of performing. And so my belt test, I remember I wore a mask. I was drenched in sweat after, like I could wring all the sweat out of that mask after. It was so gross. But yeah, we didn't do any contact, which felt wrong to me. Like I love contact,
Yeah.
right? So I kind of missed that part of the test, that hitting each other. But yeah, I busted my ass. I worked really, really hard, and I get really nervous for belt tests. I don't like belt tests, but it's so I really bring it. And yeah, I worked my butt off, and it felt really, really good. So yeah, it was about an hour, and it was shorter than usual because no partner stuff. But yeah, it was a good test, and there was all the senseis. There was a panel of senseis from all the different dojos. The Meibukan dojos in British Columbia were there at the test. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. It pretty much kind of sounds like how the situation I was. This was like pre pandemic black belt testing. Like this was like my final well, it was a pre-test. So I mean, I was the only one pre-testing like from my school. And with our
Yeah.
school, we have like a regents. So of course, depending on like where the location of the test would be, they'll like of course I'll have my pre-test with my own school, and then from there I'll go to another school and have that test. So
Okay.
of course, I had my pre-test in Niagara Falls, and I was the only one pre-testing. And, I had to really bring it because
Yeah.
I felt like I wasn't getting any rest because
Yeah. Oh no, if it's just you, there's no rest.
yeah, because I mean this is like the final test that I had to do, so I had to really bring it. So yeah, like you would
Wow.
say, and of course going from Niagara Falls to Boston to my test, like 12 o'clock in the morning to like 7 o'clock in the morning. That was like, well, luckily I was like sharing the drive with my master
Yeah.
instructor, and we missed two exits. So luckily we
Oh
wasn't too
no.
late. And of course, going back from Boston, there was an accident going to Boston. So luckily we didn't get stuck there.
Oh.
And yeah, so
So
luckily,
it was a journey, right? It was a journey.
yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest test was getting to Boston safely. So that was
Oh
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you survived. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And such a memory, right? Like you remember that, like just the nervousness, the oh, am I gonna make it? And yeah, that's a fun experience.
Yeah, that's just me. Like I'm very retrospective. It's like I can remember
Yeah.
things from infancy, like
Oh yeah.
just small things, and then I just look at it and then just say that things used to happen here, and I used to go here, and this place used to be here, but now it's tore down. So that's just me.
Yeah. Well, that's cool though. Yeah.
Um, uh, all right, let's kind of talk about your current situation with the karate shrimp. So, what was your idea for that?
Well, I was at the time, I was going to that one dojo that I was working at, and I was on a tournament team and competing regularly in British Columbia and mostly Washington. And I was consumed by karate, and I just wanted to do everything I could to get better at karate. And and we had a counselor who would come into our team practices, and she would do like sports psychology stuff, coaching with us and help us with all the little things around our training, like goal setting and habits and the mental game and all of that. And I got really excited about this. And I thought this would be cool to start. As I started off, I wanted to be a blogger. And then I thought I could do YouTube as well. And I actually started the YouTube to drive traffic to my blog. But then I quickly realized I really like making videos, which shocked the hell out of me because I was always really shy when I was younger. So yeah, it sort of came out of that, where I started off focusing on like all the different things. Like I have a nutrition background, and I'm really interested in psychology and goal setting and stress management and all of that. And so I wanted to talk about all these things. And then what it sort of changed over time now, where I'm realizing people really respond to my videos when I open up about my struggles, the stuff that I've gone through. And I'm realizing how many people are struggling. And so I'm focusing more on that stuff, on, being real about that and being open about that, and kind of, trying to help people get through all that tough stuff that they don't necessarily want to talk about. So that's where I've kind of gone with it. I do also have online courses in one in healthy eating and a few in mobility. I've taken courses through NASM. So I've done personal trainer certification and corrective exercise. And so I'm trying to kind of bring together all the pieces to help people improve. But the mental game is really the thing now that I'm focusing on, and just the struggles and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can pretty much relate with what you're saying. Of course, you're a nutritionist, and just thinking about that, you're as a nutrition. I'm a fitness instructor, so
Yeah.
of course that kind of fits with my what I'm doing. I mean, of course, I'll be happy once I get back to teaching my classes in January. I
Oh,
mean,
I
yeah,
bet.
yeah, because really, when it comes to fitness classes, I mean, I need an army, so that's how I can do exercise better. I can't do one on one. I needed like an army, so
You like to,
I'm
yeah. You're a leader.
yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so most of the classes that we have over in Crunch, it's like mostly it's you just stand there and just like tell the participant what to do. That I mean, that's not me. I'd rather be in front of my class doing the exercises with them, and
Oh yeah.
and see watch for the ones that are struggling and kind of get them back on track. And usually what
Yes.
I do for my classes, it's like I tell them like beforehand, it's like if you're dealing with any injuries or any limitations, please consider the low impact and low intensity options.
Yeah, that's smart. It's smart. And it really is, like, because I think, you talk to older martial artists who have been doing it for a long time, and there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of, I think, way back when, it was like I look at old tournaments footage, and they're pretty rough, and people are getting the crap kicked out of them, and they're dealing with these injuries now. So I think that's really smart, and it's good for you for showing different options to help people of different fitness levels and that kind of thing. And also it's good that you're modeling doing it too. You're doing it with them, and that's good. They need to see how it's done too, right? And see that you're doing it too. It's not just something they have to do. So I
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like yeah, I feel like it's like sometimes I have like to stop for a bit and then like kind of just like kind of almost do a lecture. So that's the thing
Yeah.
about martial arts. I try to do less lecture and more doing because
Yes.
with most martial arts schools, or should I say martial arts instructors, they spend so much time like lecturing and not
Yeah.
actually just instructing. So that's the
Mhm.
problem with most kids, that they get so bored at you lecturing that it's like it's not fun for them anymore, and they just next they just up and quit.
Yep. Yeah. No, kids need to move. They need to, and yeah, I'm the same. Like, and I learn better from doing and from seeing something done than I do from hearing it too. So yeah, I like that action. Action. That's how you learn it, right? So I think that's smart.
Yes, I know for some kids it's tough for them to go for like basic forms, but
Mhm.
you kind of do a activity saying like like a toward like this is what you need to do when you're actually doing a kata. It's like I kind of change it from if you're was doing sparring in a kata form, I mean, this is how you do it versus doing traditional kata where you're fighting from a long time ago. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that's pretty much how I would teach my kid or teach my students. So
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
yeah. All right. So who would you say you look up to during this journey?
My parents, I think they're both gone now. My mom died last year and my dad when I was a kid. And yeah, they're not martial artists. They weren't, but what they really valued was people, and they were always really humble. They weren't into, money or status or impressing people or anything. It was always about community and valuing people. And like we had a small home growing up and we didn't have much, but everyone always felt safe and welcome at our home. And that I learned so much from that value of, valuing people above everything else. Right. And those connections with people rather than status and power and all of those things. Right. And looking good to other people. Like so I looked up to my parents a lot for that, and they really valued people. So
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's one people I know I look up for a lot of people, but it's your parents that you got to look up to because of
yeah,
course, I was raised by my single mom, and of course,
yeah,
I have my brothers and sister, my older brother and sister, and I mean, they basically raised me too, so it's
yeah.
like almost double indemnity. Not to say my father wasn't around as much, but yeah, he was. Whenever I am in trouble, I would ask for his help, and he would never like refuse refuse that help. So it's just nice to actually have some type of indemnity when it comes to
Yep.
your family.
Oh yeah, family. And like even if it ends up being, your chosen family, right? Like some people, they don't have great luck with their own family, and you find your family somehow like through martial arts or whatever. And like me, yeah, I'm a single mom now, and with my two kids and our two cats. And it's like good for you for, with your mom, like it's a tough thing to be a single parent, but it's, you have to be a good role model for your kids, and your kids need to feel like they can open up to you and come to you about stuff. So yeah, it's important to have that family.
Yeah, I felt so lucky when I got injured that my mother was retired from working. So of course, well, more the majority of the time she was there for me when I was of course when I got my injury and then got my surgery and just
Oh yeah.
checking up on me and
Yeah.
just until I was able to walk on my own 2 feet. So
Yeah.
it was just grateful that I have her. I could have like would say no sometimes, but when somebody's trying to help, you just don't turn it down. You just go for it.
Absolutely. You need that help. And we don't like to admit that we need help sometimes, right? We want to be tough. But yeah, I think that's so great. And it's so great that you got that support too.
Yeah, most definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, and just also think about person like that's like outside your family, kind of being your like your chosen family, pretty much. I just think of my master instructor, being in martial arts for 26 years, and I feel like he looks after me more than as well as everybody else in the karate dojo.
That's awesome. And that's something that I want. Like I felt like I had that with my former sensei, but it didn't work out, and no tough feelings, whatever. But one day I'd like to have that, to have, a sensei that I look up to and I can talk to about everything. And I think that's really, we need that role model, right? And that it feels good to admire somebody, right? And to say, okay, I want, like, you can do this and you're doing this, all this awesome stuff, and I want to do that too. And yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. All right. So before we kind of get to our hidden dojo segment of the interview, here's the last question. What inspirational quote best describes your journey?
Well, my own thing that I say, I don't know if I stole it from somewhere, I don't know, but you're tougher than you think. You're stronger than you think. And that's gotten me through so much where I felt like I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't strong enough to start karate at 41. I wasn't strong enough to get through my mom's cancer and losing her. I wasn't strong enough to get through a really messy divorce and dealing with a stalker. I wasn't, but I did. I did it. I was able to. So that is the thought that I constantly have in my head is, Sabrina, you're stronger than you think. And you don't have to feel strong all the time, but you can do it. You can do it. So that's been a big one. Another one is I follow John Kabat-Zinn. He's an author. He's a physician. He started the mindfulness meditation program at a certain hospital. It was for using meditation to handle stress and to help you work through pain from chronic illness and that kind of thing. And he's been like, done a lot of speaking engagements and that kind of thing. But he says, you are not your thoughts, and that's been something that really has helped me to realize, like, sometimes we get so caught up in our heads, the way we think about ourselves, the way we think about other people, and really who we are. Like, it seems like it's always us talking, but sometimes like who we are is actually deeper than that. We are grounded and we have like our center, and sometimes we get lost up here. But who we are is something kind of more level and grounded than that. So that's helped me a lot too.
Yeah, most definitely. And definitely just what was it? It's just like being stronger than you think. It's that's this thing about it's like I definitely I would say I get my strength from the sun, but definitely if for some reason if I had to find that sun strength during the cold weather, which is I hate the cold.
Oh,
Yeah,
me too. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if I had my luck, I'd move to Las Vegas once the winter hits over here, which it already did. I mean, we already got a snowstorm. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. We have our snow starting to melt, but yeah, I don't, I get cold easily. So I have
yeah.
the heat on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our hitting dojo segment of the interview. So this is going to be the fun part. So we're going to learn fun stuff about Sabrina. So she's going to answer these questions at the best of her ability. So are you ready
Okay.
for this?
I am ready. Forget.
All right. The first question would be the best advice you ever gotten and who said it.
Best advice. In grade 7, my grade 7 teacher pulled me aside. I had my best friend at the time was really controlling, and I was a really kind of quiet kid, and I let people push me around, and I wanted to get people's approval. And she pulled me aside and she said, Sabrina, like, the person you're hanging out with, she says to you, jump, and you ask how high. And she said, you can do so much better than this. You have so much more potential than this. You need to be strong on your own, and you don't need other people. You don't need to do things for other people all the time. And that stuck with me for years. And I had to work through that. A lot of kind of similar kind of relationships with other people to eventually get to a point where I'm like, no, I need to put me first. It's like that scenario, like if you're on an airplane with your kid and the plane's going to crash and the oxygen thing comes down, who do you give the oxygen to first, your kid or you? And like parenting instinct would be, oh, my kid, right? I want my kid to get the oxygen. But if the plane crashes and you die, your kid's on their own. So you got to take care of yourself first. You got to give yourself the oxygen first, and then you can take care of others. Right. And that was kind of the messaging that my teacher gave me, and kind of what I've learned throughout is like, no, you give yourself the oxygen first and take care of yourself first. Right. So that's been huge in my life.
Yeah, that kind of relates to what I tell my students. Like, really, when I tell them like I usually tell them like when you go home, make sure you're training, and I don't have them train like for an hour a day. I mean, roughly it takes roughly 3 to 5 minutes to do good martial arts. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
looking for them to get a workout, but yet you got some of the kids that say they don't have time for workouts because they have all this homework, and then yet they play with their friends. And then I asked them, I mean, what's your priority? I mean, is it your friends that can play with you later, or is it your agenda, your martial arts, everything that's important to you? Is that
Mm-hmm.
more important? Is that more important than your friends, or your friends are more important than that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Good thing to think about.
Yeah, so really, it's kind of sometimes it's tough with these kids to get them trained and be ready for the next level, but yet they have set yet excuses, but yet I can always expect them to train all the time. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
telling them this is how you're going to get to the next level if you do what I ask, and if you don't do it, then you're going to be stuck in the same place. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I usually say with mostly if you want to get to far, you got really willing to try new things. And
Yep.
for me, it's like, I'm willing to try other things in martial arts, like go for a new style or maybe go for a new job. I want to just get those credentials, those hats. The more
Mm-hmm.
hats you wear, the more further you'll be.
Yep. And like you being a good role model to these kids and saying, focus on you and your training and that kind of thing. It may not hit them right now, but it could hit them 20 years later, and they remember that advice you gave them, and then they can put it into action. Like that sometimes happens. Like that's what happened with me. It took 20, 30 years for me to finally say, no, I'm putting me first and making myself healthy and strong first, and then I can be there for other people. So yeah, like it's really important that you're doing that and sharing that with your students. That's awesome.
Yeah, but so basically that's a life experience. Like how I lived as a kid. I mean, they never was grew up in the 80s or 90s like I did, but it's just telling
Mhm.
them this is how things were for me years ago. And I'm just saying, yeah, just because things change, I mean, it doesn't apply to what happened years ago. So I
Yeah,
mean, just telling them not to make those same mistakes.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, next question. The worst advice you ever gotten?
Well, this is probably from my mom. Love you, mom. Sorry, rest in peace. But she would always tell me, oh, you need more rest. You need to take a break. You need to take time off. You need to. And I'm a really intense person and I get obsessive about things. And I know like rest and recovery is super important. But I think, if you're going to build something important in your life, you got to go for it. You got to do it. And also, like in my marriage, my ex-husband was always focusing on the weekends and retirement and vacation. And I think, I don't want to create a life for myself that I want to escape from, where it's like, I need to get away from it. I need a vacation from it. I need to rest. I want to create a life that I'm excited to do that work. And that's what, I like YouTube and all of this stuff. It's so much work. It really is. But I love it. I love spending hours editing. I love, doing all that stuff and creating something that helps people and that has meaning to me. So, if that means sometimes getting up early or, not having, vacations all the time, like it's worth it to me to do that. So I think for some people, that works to have more rest and vacation time and whatever. But for some people, if they're more driven, that's not going to make them happy, right? If you're really driven by something, do it. And you do have to kind of make trade-offs when you're trying to achieve something. There are trade-offs that you need to make, and sometimes that might mean getting up earlier than you want to. Sometimes that might mean staying in on the weekend so you can get more work done, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, so I can relate to like getting up early because I'm like an early bird. Usually I'm
Yeah,
up like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock. So I mean, I don't plan on doing that, but it happens. And
yeah.
I mean, all I could think about while I was injured or out of work for 2 months is like I wanted to get back to work.
Oh yeah.
I'm not the type of person that like to sit around and do nothing. I mean, I have to be
Yep.
moving around. So of course,
Yep.
other than trying to work on my recovery. I mean, I was just like preparing like what I'm gonna do when I get back to work or whenever I go back to teaching. I mean, I want to be prepared for my comeback and do it like it was like a party, like anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it means something to you, right? So you don't need to, you can't shut it off, right? It's always going on in there. And yeah, I think it's great to have that.
Yeah. And speaking of yeah, having that driven ability, this kind of brings us to my next question. How would you reward yourself? I kind of call this the guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. Well, I don't know if I'm cheap. I don't like spending money. But I love tech, like filming tech, video stuff. I would love to have this is yeah. So maybe not quite the right answer for your question, but I would love to just turn my house into a dojo slash production studio and have like super cool like arcade games and like just a super fun place and weapons everywhere. And that's what I want. But yeah, if I go and buy myself something, it's usually something practical related to making videos. Like I'd like to upgrade my mic, get a nice good mic, upgrade my studio, that kind of thing. Right now though, I don't know, I buy Lego and snacks, chips and dip. That's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah. So if you definitely build that studio, I'll probably be hopping on a plane to Vancouver and just check that out.
Oh,
Yeah.
it would be, I'd love one day to have a team, and whether it's, karate shrimp or something new, and just have a team of people who love, creating videos and martial arts and just working together. I think that would be super cool. So you would be welcome to join if I ever do that. Yeah, it'd be fun.
Oh yeah, because I'm definitely good at making videos. I got TikTok, I mean, Facebook.
Yeah.
I like to be funny. So if you look at my
Oh yeah.
TikTok, so yeah, definitely I have an entertaining side for me because I
That's
feel that
awesome.
that was pretty much my childhood. I was a goofball, hyper goofball, but
Yeah.
sometimes I would get in trouble with it, but other times I'd be getting people like cracking off their seats. I mean, that's just me.
I have so much respect for that. Like my youngest, she's 10 and she's so funny but she's got attitude too. Like she doesn't care what people think of her, and she's just, but she's so funny and she's like class clown kind of thing. So yeah, I have so much respect for that. Like we need that. We need that. I love funny people. You're great.
Yeah, so like I'm like to be ironic as well. Like
Yeah.
say, what you got like special coming up, what you think? Like
Special
do you have
coming up.
like a birthday or like anniversary?
I just had a birthday. Anniversary. I don't know. Yeah, my birthday was a couple months ago. I don't know.
Well,
Christmas.
since it was like your birthday, I say like happy season premiere.
Oh,
So yeah,
hey.
yeah. So that's just me. If it's somebody's birthday, I say happy season premiere. I treat it
I
like a
like
TV
that.
show. Or if somebody gets engaged, I say congrats on your movie trailer. And then if they get married, I say congrats on your movie premiere. So
Nice.
yeah, I just make it ironic, and some people don't know what I'm talking about, and
They're
I have
like,
that.
what?
Yeah, yeah. So that's just me being ironic. So
That's fun.
whenever I look at something, I mean, I kind of turn it into like ironic humor. So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Hey.
Much respect.
All right. So, what's favorite movie would you want to be in?
My favorite movie of all time is Labyrinth. So with David Bowie.
Mhm.
I always wanted to be in that, and like going through the maze and all the Muppets and all the like magic and adventure. And I love that movie so much. I always thought, I would love it if magic was real, if
Yeah.
that stuff was real. So yeah, that's that movie I would love. And I was thinking about that earlier, that it was kind of like that movie. It's kind of like our journey in life and our journey in martial arts, right? Where you're dealing with all this stuff and you have to make decisions about what your priorities are. At the end, is her brother more important, or does she want, power and fame and glory with the Goblin King? And that's really it, right? Like, do we value our community and our people and those connections, or is it about looking good and having power? And it's, yeah. So I think that movie kind of makes me think about life and all the adventures and stuff we go through. So yeah, that movie, that's the one.
Yeah, I mean, because like mostly my teacher back in grade school was I'm sure that movie as it was that movie and Dune that
Oh yeah.
became a yeah. So I mean that was like that's definitely a good movie. Labyrinth. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that one.
yeah. Kind of almost catch myself trying to sing like David Bowie, but I can't do it.
Yeah, and you got to wear the tight pants.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually met a cosplayer that actually dressed up as Goblin King. So I think I have a
Nice.
picture of that. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I'll probably send to you, and you'll see.
Do it. I'd love to see
All right,
it.
all right. Next question. Secret talent.
I can do a chimpanzee call. Not like a chimpanzee. It's really loud though. You might want to take your. Do you want me to do it?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Maybe take them off here. I gotta back up because I don't want to. Okay.
Ah,
You might need to adjust the volume on that later.
yeah. I mean, well, that's if somebody's listening to the car, so they could do that.
So that's it. Yeah, that's my chimpanzee call. And I can do the as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's a totally useless talent.
Well, you got the chimpanzee, I got the gorilla. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love these connections.
Yeah, I always used to call myself Kong Man because definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So what's dream celebrity encounter?
Um, I think Jackie Chan would be a super cool person to hang out with. He seems like so much fun. So that would be great. I would love to just have him over at parties and just hang out with him and just watch him do his stuff. So yeah, Jackie Chan would be a good one.
Yeah,
What
I
about
mean,
you? What about you? What's your who would you want to hang out with?
and with all the celebrities I met, like the one person I probably would want to hang out with is The Rock.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
strength train with him.
yeah. Strength training, pro wrestling, and
Yeah.
just like play Jumanji without the animals
Oh,
coming out.
Jumanji, that was fun.
Yeah, and to see if he could introduce me to Kevin Hart. Yeah,
Hey, yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's the thing about me. It's like if I'm getting into a big truck, I look like Kevin Hart trying to drive it, and then of course if I get in a small car, I feel like Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah, yeah. That's another
Nice.
that's another person I want to try hang out with. Shaq,
Oh
Shaquille O'Neal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just go by a Papa John's restaurant and just hoping that he shows up.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right, final question. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
10 years from now, still on YouTube. Maybe starting another channel as well. I just want to do the YouTube. I just want to do the YouTube and do it forever and keep building and build up my, have an awesome studio and maybe have an at-home dojo. What I really would love to do is build a dojo in my backyard. This is something that I've been thinking about and teach out of it and have a small school and do that from home. I think that would be super cool.
Yeah, so I know that's gonna like take a lot of builds. I mean, you got like
Oh,
build an idea, and then
yeah.
you got all these certifications that you have to get, or
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
licenses. Yeah,
So for now, I mean, YouTube for sure. YouTube, I can do that.
yeah. All right. So before we kind of close out, is there any last minute words you'd like to tell our listeners out there?
I think just you are stronger than you think, and there's incredible value in putting yourself out there and trying something new and scary and it seems difficult. And whether that's, starting martial arts for the first time or trying a new martial art or pushing or, competing for the first time if you've never competed. But it's really those challenging scenarios that's when we grow, right? That's when we get stronger. That's when we learn and when we make mistakes and risk looking stupid, that's when we grow the most. Not to be
Uh,
afraid to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so thank you, Sabrina, for joining me in this episode. I mean, of course, this is like the last episode for 2022, so I'm going to be really looking forward to 2023, and
Yes.
it's gonna be wonderful. So
Oh,
yeah,
it's gonna be great. Yes, thank you so much for having me.
uh,
This has
all
been
right,
really fun.
all right. So I'm gonna do my little closing for my episode here. So let's get ready for this. All right, for those who are just tuning in for the first time, tune into my previous episodes on the bicbpradio.com, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And I'll see you next time, or should I say, I'll see you in 2023 for a new episode of the Kickpod Dojo. And I'll see you next time, and I'm going to make a bow out of here.